Guys, welcome back. It is Racer X, and I'm actually in the Hellcat, and I'm on my way up to visit my buddies at Cooley Dodge in Irving, Texas. I've got to get this car completely prepared for Streetcar Takeover, which is tomorrow. So oil change, making sure we're checking all the fluids, just pressures, making sure everything is super healthy and happy on the car, because tomorrow we're going to put it to the test. But I actually, while I'm there, I want to do a little bit of a comparison video, because when I was doing a little bit of scouting, I saw that they had a pretty cool Jeep SRT, and I thought, you know what? I really want to see how the Jeep SRT stacks up against, like, the Hemi Challenger. I think that would be a pretty cool little matchup. I mean, obviously you've got a lot more power in the Jeep SRT, but then again, the Challenger is a little more aerodynamic. It's lighter. You know, it has some advantages to it. So I feel like I should maybe pit the two against each other and see which one comes out on top. It should be a fun little video. Also, guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure you slap the subscribe button down here in the corner. Here we go. We got the 1,000 horsepower helmet. I have actually arrived at Cooley Dodge in Irving, Texas, and my Hellcat is back in the service bay, which happens to be way over there. You guys can probably see the building back there, but at any rate, it's being worked on. They're getting the oil change. We're checking everything, making sure we're completely ready for tomorrow's event. But the car that I want to show you, actually the SUV that I want to show you, is actually right over here. And I gotta tell you, at first glance, I really like this thing. So it is a Jeep Grand Cherokee, as you can see, but it's not just your everyday Jeep Grand Cherokee. This is the SRT. And you know, I have not done any reviews on the SRT Grand Cherokee, but at first glance, I've already looked around this car, and I really like it. I'm actually a big fan of this thing. And I will admit that I also looked at a Trackhawk a little while back, which essentially is the same thing with a Hellcat motor in it. But for a long time, this car, or this SUV, I should say, was kind of the bad daddy. I mean, it was the baddest SUV around. And I have to tell you, I'm a big fan. So let me show you more about it. So at first glance, this thing does not look like your average Jeep Grand Cherokee. As you can see, it's got the bigger splitter here on the bottom. It's also got a different hood on it. As you can see, it's almost like a Hellcat type hood. It doesn't have kind of the scoop in the middle, but you can see that it does have the heat extractors, which are functional, right here in the front. And I will say that the stance on this thing is much more aggressive than your average Grand Cherokee as well. It does come with those 295s on it. And let me actually walk over here. And, you know, it's not quite as wide as what you'd find on a Scat Pack or a Hellcat wide body, but it's darn close, and you don't really notice it till you get up here behind it. And you can really see there's some serious meat on this thing. And a couple other features I really like. Of course, it's got a tip on it that's fairly unique in shape. It basically has kind of like a spoiler here, which I think is it's pretty sharp. It just gives the vehicle more of an aggressive look. As you can see, yes, it is in fact an SRT, and it's just a really mean looking car. I'm actually a really big fan. I would daily the crap out of this thing. Let me show you what the inside looks like. All right, so looking at the inside of this thing, I'm a fan. As you can see, it does have the leather appointed seats. Of course, we got SRT written here, but it does also have the Harman Kardon sound system in it. It's almost like a carbon fiber weave here on the doors. You've almost got kind of a sort of like a brushed nickel type material here, and then of course you've got more of that carbon fiber. It's just a really sharp looking vehicle here, guys. You can see it's got the bigger 8.4 inch infotainment screen here in the middle. It basically comes with all of your drive modes here. As you can see, you've got your drive mode selector and red seat belts, which I actually really like, just like in my car. And if we step to the back, these are some nice back seats, guys. I'm not gonna lie, like this thing is really nice. They're very soft. Obviously it's very similar, like what you'd see kind of seating surface wise, like in a Hellcat, or possibly a Scat Pack. But you've got your vents back here. I mean, everything you could want, it's all right here. And of course in the back, you've got a really nice cargo area. So this thing is really kind of a jack of all trades. Another quick item of note is that because it is an SRT, you get the big Brembo brakes. So basically it's brakes just like on my Hellcat. So another nice little feature of this thing. And of course, here is the star of the show. It's that 6.4 liter naturally aspirated Hemi that we all know and love. Same engine you'll get in your Scat Packs or your SRT Challengers and Chargers. But look how clean the inside of this thing is. Very, very clean, and almost could eat off this engine bay, guys. But a really, really nice motor there, as we know. Like I said, 485 horse, 475 pound-feet of torque in an SUV naturally aspirated. What's not to love? So now I am actually aboard the SRT Grand Cherokee, and man, what a comfortable place to sit. I'm actually really digging this thing. I can't lie. It is a pretty neat package. As I look at the drive modes here, one of the things that strikes me as a little bit interesting is the fact that you have your track and your sports settings as well as auto, which would be similar like what you find in a Scat Pack or a Hellcat, except this particular thing has snow and tow. So obviously you don't get those two settings in the Hellcat. So I think that's actually pretty cool. This thing is all-wheel drive. So for those of you that don't already know, it comes off the line like a beast. So it's sort of like having that Scat Pack punch of that nice big naturally aspirated 6.4. But you get all-wheel drive, which means that you don't have to worry about spinning at all. So another thing that I really love about this is the fact that it's got a ginormous sunroof in it. So another nice feature, it kind of gives it nice open feel. It feels so weird to me to be sitting up this high in a vehicle, but yet it feels exactly like sitting in my Hellcat, or not exactly, but it's very close. It's got paddle shifters. It's got everything kind of right where I'm used to, except I'm sitting up so much higher. And when I go to punch it, for example, on this corner, it has a completely different feel to it. There we go. And there's no fanfare at all. In the Scat Pack, I would have spun out and been all over the place. But in this car, it plants and goes. So it doesn't have quite as much punch, initial punch, say, as the Scat Pack. I think there are two things, right? It's a heavier vehicle, and it's because of the all-wheel drive system. I don't think it has quite that snap to it, but it's still very responsive. And for an SUV, it's almost freaking me out, because it just kind of blends everything from traditionally what I know about SUVs, but also it kind of drives a little bit like a sports car. So it's something I have to get used to. So the mid-range power in this vehicle comes on really exactly as you would expect from a big V8 SUV. It's just really smooth, really linear, very predictable, but it does not by any stretch of the imagination feel like it's short on power, because it goes really nice. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and, oh yeah, that sounds so good. So now I've actually switched it over to track mode, and as I fully expected, things have changed a little bit. The shifts are faster, as to be expected, and it feels a little bit like a different car. One of the things is, I mean, it still has kind of that SUV steering to it. It's heavy, which you would expect in an SUV, but not overly so. And I mean, it actually kind of has the same sort of feel and weight like my Hellcat does, even though it's heavier. But I have to say, the driving experience is very pleasant. So at the end of the day, the Grand Cherokee, the SRT version, I would not use as my race car. I just wouldn't do it. It's too heavy. It's not aerodynamic. But it's really fun to drive. So if I was going to pick a really, really awesome car that I was going to daily, I would rock this all day. I got to tell you, I really like the way this thing drives. It is a lot of fun. That naturally aspirated horsepower is so predictable. It's so snappy. It's just a really enjoyable vehicle. And like I said, it almost freaks me out because it feels like I'm sort of in a Scat Pack, and yet I'm sitting up high off the ground. I've got my paddle shifters and everything just where I'm real familiar with. But yet it's absorbing bumps and doing all that cool stuff, and it's all-wheel drive. So I don't know, it just takes some getting used to. But yes, I would daily the garbage out of this car. Wouldn't get the best gas mileage, truth be told. My guess would be this thing probably gets somewhere around 13 maybe. But it is a lot of fun. So what I would really like to do now is pit this thing against a different car. So I was sitting here thinking like maybe the Scat Pack, because it has the same motor, but the Scat Pack being lighter and rear wheel drive, I feel like the Scat Pack will probably beat this, especially with this being a heavier car. But the RT is much lighter when it comes to horsepower, but also just a much lighter car in general. I sort of feel like this sits right in between the power level. And so you've got the Jeep Grand Cherokee, the SRT. Right here we've got a Hemi Challenger with the 5.7 liter naturally aspirated Hemi, smaller Hemi, about 110 horsepower shy of what the Jeep makes. But once again, we are lighter, maybe a little more aerodynamic. It should be kind of an interesting little run here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get my good buddy, Daniel, who happens to work here at Clay Cooley. You guys have seen him in some of my other videos. And we're gonna put him in one of these two cars. I'm not sure which one, because we wanna make it as fair a race as possible. And we'll see which one of these two comes out on top. All right, we found Mr. Daniel. He's gonna help us out today. So I think we're gonna put you in the Jeep this time. I made you run the 6-cylinder Charger or the Challenger last time, so I'll give you the advantage because I feel like the Jeep is probably gonna win. But I'm gonna give it everything I got in this RT, and we'll see what really happens. So we'll go get a couple of pulls in. We'll see who comes out on top on this one. All right, so Daniel should have a big advantage here, so we'll go ahead and we'll get going here. All right, so we're going on 3. Comes. Oh, he's pulling back on me, but barely. There he goes. Oh, it took him a minute to catch me, though. That was, I got the jump on him pretty good. We have to run that back one more time. I'm gonna see if he can leave at the same time as me. He did pull me back, but it took him a minute. Okay, guys, here we go. Round number 2. We're gonna give it a second. Here we go. Ready? Oh, he jumped me. Slightly faster than the Hemi. Not as pronounced as I thought, but he jumped me on that one. I definitely wasn't pulling him back, that's for sure. So, all right, guys, we got that last race in, so appreciate it. So, what do you think, man? I think the Jeep is a little bit faster.
I would say, yeah.
It's not much though. I was surprised because the Hemi held its own, and you were catching me at the very end, and then the second race we just kind of ran out of space or whatever. But we did kind of confirm that I think the Jeep is slightly faster. I don't think it's Scat Pack fast, but I do think it's faster than the RT.
I would definitely say so. I would probably say that this vehicle is equipped with ketchup.
It's a nice car. That Jeep is nice.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
it. But hey guys, I just want to give a quick shout out to my buddy Daniel here at Clay Cooley Dodge. Huge supporter of the channel. He's always, you'll see him on several of my new videos. But guys, if you need something, you see either of these two vehicles that you like, either the Hemi Challenger, if you want a Scat Pack, whatever you may want, call this guy. I'm going to put his number down here in the bottom so you can get a hold of him. And you got anything else you want to add?
Absolutely, folks. Come and see me. It's the perfect time to buy right now. New vehicles and used vehicles. Come and see me. I got you.
You guys got new stuff coming in too, because the factories are open. Finally.
It's on the way. Yeah.
So, all right, guys, that's about it. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. For Racer X, for Daniel, we are out of here. We'll catch you on the next one.